Hello, my name is Kate and I'm gonna tell you about the cube in D&D, which everybody noticed, but too late. A gelatinous cube, also known as ascoid, is transparent ooze substance of different colors. It completely mindless creature aka surface jellyfish. It does everything almost automatically, relying on built-in amoeba instincts. Gelatinous Cubes is a monster that passes through almost all editions of D&D and can be found even in the old early editions and booklets from 1974. It didn't suffer much changes though through editions. The players are even able to interact with one of the cubes in Out of the Abyss campaign, when it was granted sentience and intelligence by the Demon Lord. To uncover all mysteries of the cubes, I have invited our special Faerunian geographic reporter to investigate on this matter. So we have Ekaterina the Explorer on our line. Ekaterina, can you hear us?
Oh, hello, Kate. Yes, I can hear you sound and clear. I actually just arrived at the higher levels of Undermountain dungeons. I was told the cube was spotted here a couple of hours ago.
Wow, sounds pretty dangerous to me, but I think you know what you are doing. So yeah, please do tell if you found something interesting.
Actually, yes. As you can see, I'm now standing in the dungeon tunnels, and I had to cast light spell, so let's hope it won't attract any unwanted inhabitants in this area. I'm pretty sure I'm on the right track. The wall, ceiling and floor of this quite rectangular tunnel are wiped clean, which means that Coop recently passed here. Unlike their amorphous brethren slimes, gelatinous Coop have a definite shape. Though they can squeeze in through tiny tunnels, they tend to stay cubic all the time. Gelatinous cubes are usually found inhabiting work dungeons and mines rather than natural caves. Cubes, or their scientific names are ascoids, suck up all living and non-living matter it passes by, digesting and dissolving organics and leaving behind all non-organic matter. I think it would be pretty accurate to call it a natural organic filter or a janitor of the dungeon. Gelatinous cubes are nearly transparent and they travel corridors, absorbing anything they found and stumble upon. Apart from noticing no vegetation or any other organic material, we can also spot gelatinous cube by very dry and thin slimy trail it leaves on the walls and floor when traveling. I've spotted some on the wall. We can see the top side of the tunnel is also clean and glistened and moistened, which means we are tracking quite a big cube here. The standard gelatinous cube is 10 by 10 by 10 feet in dimension and weighs about 50,000 pounds or 23,000 kilograms. The cube might grow in height if it cannot gather moss or organic from the ceiling of the tunnel it resides in. With digestion of its prey, the substance of the cube allows it to grow and to reach new feeding zones. While a typical cube stays 10 feet on all sides, if the natural habitat allows it, the monster can grow to 20 or 30 feet on one side if the food supply is enough. The weight of the cube grows proportionally, of course. They slide the dungeons in silence and the pattern is usually predictable. The cubes tend to follow trails of worms and avoid cold areas, which are considered non-organic by the creature, hence not edible. I think we have found the cube. You can see him right behind me. If you are careful enough, you will be able to spot gold, swords, items and other non-organic material floating in the air. But don't be tricked by it, cause it's definitely the cube in front of you. It is easier to spot a well-fed cube, as the recent consumed non-organic material will be floating in the mass and near the edges. After some time of floating, it will be naturally ejected outside. I'm now standing 65 feet away from the creature. It's the closest one can get without being spotted. Do not try it on your own unless you are prepared. Ascoids are attracted to vibrations and warmth, but seem to be deaf. They have a perfect blind sight of 60 feet radius, but out of this range they're completely helpless. For experimental reasons, I will now throw a coin into the gelatinous cube to show you his structure. The cube started to slowly move in our direction, which is expected. His movement speed is 15 feet per 6 seconds, which means if I stay out of distance, I will be always able to outrun it and be safe. If the cube approaches you, do not try to negotiate with it. There is only one cube in history who had consciousness. Other will likely to see you as prey or good supply of the nutrients. Unlike most other large creatures, gelatinous cubes are single-celled organisms like amoeba, grown to monstrous size. The viscid size of the cube body is surrounded by a very thin elastic protective layer called the cytoskeleton, which enables it to maintain its cubic shape and stretch when necessary. The cytoskeleton is able to repair itself at a remarkable rate, preventing cube structure and fluids from pouring out when the creature stumbles upon sharp object or is wounded. I had to move a little bit further into the dungeon. Lenny the rogue, who was helping me get in here, caught in a deadly trap. But it's a good opportunity for us to see now a digestive processes of the cube. During the process of engulfing, the cube starts to secrete an anesthetizing slime that is absorbed through the skin into the bloodstream of the victim. The slime paralyzes the prey, making it an easy target for the cube. When prey is engulfed, the cube starts to internally produce digestive acidic substance and store it in tiny bubbles scattered around the cube's body, which pop open when in contact with the victim's body, slowly and painfully melting it. Because of a simple composition, gelatinous cubes can stay long periods of time without food, going to a dormant state, until they have located any food supply nearby, like our Lenny the Rogue over there. With acid being extremely effective against flesh or other organics, it has no effect on inorganic matter or bones. Any inorganic matter would remain within their bodies for several weeks until eventually being cast out. I think I've taken the wrong turn, and now I'm at a dead end. I need to find a safe passage to save myself. Kate, you there? Over to you.
Okay, so while we're waiting for our reporter to get back to us, hopefully in one piece, let me tell you a bit of fun facts myself about the cube. It is said that the Amnian Empire kept one gelatinous cube in their zoo for about 12 years, researching it and showing it to the public for entertainment. Halaster Blackcloak, who lives in Undermountain, experimented with Duergar ability to enlarge and got more or less successful in it. He encapsulated the Duergar skull in a glass sphere and put it inside the gelatinous cube. The skull possessed magical properties and always enlarged the cube, making it 3 times larger, with 30 feet side and gargantuan size. It could engulf up to 9 large creatures or 36 medium ones. In late 1480s, Juiblax, the demon lord of all oozes, granted Gelatinous Cube intelligence of 10 and a 60 feet range telepathy. The cube was curious about other creatures, and instead of consuming everything around it, he wanted to know the world.
Kate, you there? Can you hear me?
Oh, Yekaterina, you survived the cube, and also you found the escape route.
I had to make a password spell to escape an imminent death, but I made a passage to another dungeon tunnels where I found another cube.
Sounds you need to get out of there.
Not really. Actually, I figured out the Lenny the Rogue's map, and now I'm staying in the safest tunnel with lots of ways to escape. And as you can see behind my back, 2 cubes are moving to each other, which means that something interesting is going to happen.
Well, hopefully you know what you are doing, so please tell us what's interesting happening there.
Yes, gladly, gladly. As you can see behind me, two cubes are trying to merge with each other, but it shouldn't be mistaken with mating. Gelatinous cubes can reproduce only in two ways. Both ways are asexual. They either experience the budding process or fission process, which is rare. The budding process implies forming some substance on one of the walls that's formed into a small cube and separates from the parental body, as amoeba does. The cube is exerted and left behind to grow in a full-sized cube. The beginning of life of a small cube is full of dangers and requires some luck, because mindless parental cube can reabsorb his baby on the way back through the tunnels. And if not reabsorbed, the small cube will survive and get to larger sizes in 3-4 weeks. The fission process implies division of adult cube into two smaller cubes. It can be observed in the large dungeon or habitat with plenty of food. The larger cube divides itself into two medium-sized cubes, which grow to larger ones later. Fissioning is less dangerous, as cubes cannot absorb each other, though it considered the most successful ways of gelatinous cubes reproduction. Here we can observe fusion of two cubes together. When merged, they act like a single-minded organism and increase in their lengths, but stay the same in heights and widths. The larger the cubes, the harder for them to stay fused for a long period of time. However, it brings benefits like increases the chances of survival of encounter with adventurers, as larger cubes are generally harder to kill. However, the energy consumption greatly increases, as for example the medium-sized cubes can stay for 6 years before dividing again, while large cubes can stay only 2 to 8 days before the division occurs. Oh, I actually got wrong about these cubes. When I created the passage from one tunnel to another, the cubes started to look for another food supply in their neighborhood. It appears to me that they are now trying to battle each other, so let me try to get as close as possible to show you it. Gelatinous cubes are individualistic creatures with no society. They tend to avoid each other's habitats, preferring to find food-abundant spot for themselves. When the resources deplete, the creatures start to conserve energy to prolong its existence. I'm now hiding behind the wall, as close as possible to them. It appears to me that they have eaten all their food in their tunnels and now we're starving to death. So now they will battle each other to see who consumes who. Usually the greater cubes wins. Luckily for us, our cube ate Lenny the Rogue and the other wasn't so lucky. We are very lucky to see this. It's a very rare event. As you can see, the cubes are trying to engulf each other, and it can take from 2 to 3 days until one of the titans take over. Both are trying to use walls or any other object to try to have an upper hand and engulf the opponent.
Let's hope it's our boy then. Ekaterina, maybe you can share with us any insights on how to deal with the cube.
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course, Kate. Since the creature is completely mindless, it's impossible to charm or intimidate it. The best tactics would be outrun the creature and kite it if space allows. Also, adventurers are recommended to get as high as possible, since the slimy coating of the creature prevents it from climbing the ceiling and walls, so the vertical shafts would be the safest place in the dungeon. And also, I recommend not to use invisibility, since the creature can sense your presence in 60 feet radius, rendering invisibility useless. I believe this battle is far from over, so let me take this opportunity to escape to the surface. I'm Ekaterina the Explorer from Faerunian Geographic, live from Undermountain Dungeons, and back to you, Kate.
Thank you, Ekaterina. It was an amazing dive into Cube's nature. I hope we see you again in the future. And now a bit of DM tips on how to play it. Basically, this is quite straightforward to play. Since the cube has intelligence of 1 and charisma of 1, the more straighter your line of attack is, the better. Secondly, I would definitely try to dash with the cube to the opponents to try to engulf them. Lastly, as a DM, I would suggest you to create a gelatinous trap for low-level adventurers. Just place it behind the corner and let them bump into it. So that's it for the gelatinous cube. And if you like the lore and would like to support me and FireRunion Geographic, please press like and subscribe button and tell me in the comments below who else you would like to hear about. And see you next time.